So now is the perfect time for the partnership between Havas and Akkio. I mean, honestly, because I think as we enter this era of AI and the ease of accessing data and the ease and the need for doing that with speed and clarity, it's a perfect time for us to partner with Akkio and really take Converged.AI to the next level to ensure that we are not just making tools for practitioners, but also making tools that are accessible and democratized for the entire agency and for all of our clients. I think promoting all of the work that we're doing and making all of that work better. I don't know, what do you think?
On the technology side, we're finally getting to a point where you can really productionize these AI workflows at global scale across really large enterprises and actually get real value for the biggest clients that you have. So it's like a really interesting a convergence of the overall ecosystem to get to a point where you can actually start to really get gains in terms of efficiency and then also value delivery when you start to leverage the AI capabilities and workflows.
The thing that we know about Converged is that it was truly built from the ground up for practitioners, for the agency, based on our needs. And I think now with the partnership with Akkio and what we, really how we democratize that access, it's about getting more people, about getting different skill sets and different capabilities and different types of people within the agency, within the organization, within our clients, really thinking differently about accessing, utilizing, and acting on the data and the insights. And I think that's where Akkio really helps us. I think as we have been in this sort of agentic world over the last couple of years and really kind of with people now understanding how to ask questions, how to prompt, how to, how to interrogate and really be curious and it's easier to be curious when you can do it in a language that you inherently understand, that you can just ask a question and get an answer back in a language where you're comfortable. And I think that's really why, we're super excited and it's the right time. And that's how Converged.AI really gets enhanced with this technology.
I think two of the main things we like to focus on are transparency and observability and ease of use. And I think both of those are also pretty critical to user adoption because it's new technology and you need to learn how to interact with it. And so when you ask a question or you try and do a task, you need to understand what the approach that the AI or the language model is going to be taking to do that task. And then the overall user experience and workflow needs to fit what you're familiar with. It needs to be beautiful. It needs to be approachable. It can't be intimidating. And so there's a lot of work that goes on both sides of the fence in a partnership to make that accessible to all employees. And then of course, localizations, different industries and verticals that you address. So it's a complex problem, but if you do it right, I think you can make adoption quite easy for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what does convergence mean and who's doing it well? And I mean, we're doing it amazingly, of course. But no, I honestly, I do think we're doing a really good job. Converge is a platform. Converge is a way of working. It is also a mindset. It is a mentality. It is a way that we want to think about not just working internally, but it is also about how we work with partners, how we work with clients, how, we want to be functioning as a combined entity, a combined organization driving in the right direction. But I also think convergence, there's so much happening in sort of, you talk, CES over the years has changed so much. And the idea of bringing together, the sort of consumer technology industry and the advertising industry. And, I have some friends who are in finance and they were here last, it's bringing together different groups of people to all talk about the sort of similar topics, but from different angles. And I think it's really important for us to think about that. I was on a panel earlier this week with some folks who were doing AI education and in the education space and thinking about how all of these different angles come together, converge to form a holistic opinion about where we're going and how we approach technology. And I think also, ideas around ethics and bias and all of those things are just really important for us to bring together and have full conversations around. I don't know, I think that's it's been my sort of fun takeaway from CES, but also I think as we talk about convergence, that's where it feels like everything's coming together and start to move in the right direction.
I'll follow on the same theme. I would say technical openness and willingness to integrate with other platforms and capabilities is required. Any walled garden solutions that limit your ability to use the best available tool to do the job the best way it can be done, those are going to be legacy systems quite quickly. So in a way, all capabilities are converging at your fingertips inside of every platform, and the ability to harness those and take advantage of them, understanding the broader ecosystems and how they're coming together, I think is what's going to happen this year.
Yeah, it's our job to help make sense of it all.
Yep.